Hello, fellow mood readers. It's been a small bit. I know I'm a little inconsistent lately, but I'm trying to get right back on track. I thought with this video, it would be a good idea to give you a reading update because I know I didn't do a wrap up for May and we just finished June, so a good 2 months. So a recap of some of the books. I know I did do 2 reviews out of the arcs that I had, so those count towards May as well. So I won't really talk about those since there's a full video on those ones. I did have a great reading month in June. I read, got my notebook here. So May I had 5 books, and then in June I had 7. And I already have one done for July, so it's been quite the time here. And also it's mid-year, so it's actually a really good time to kind of wrap up the first half of the year as well. So in this reading update, I'll give you kind of how the year's been going. Maybe it's already really super hard to pick my favorite of the year. And I did have a few reads that I didn't care for at all, so I can get into those and we'll go from there. So to start off, I actually have read 34 books so far this year, including the one that I did listen to for this month. And let me tell you, when I had like 5 of my Libby holds all come in at once, it's an adventure. So I cranked up the speed a tiny bit more, which actually helped out because the narration was a little bit slow, even on the setting I usually have it on. I read at 1.25 or 1.35 depending. I actually used 1.45 for this one, and it didn't bother me at all because usually sometimes that's a little fast for me, but this one it worked out really well. So I finished that one pretty quick in like 3 or 4 days because it was still quite long. And so we'll get to that one. Like I said, 34 books this year already. So I usually do the goal of 50 generally, but the last few years I've set my goal at 60. I don't want to set it too high. I think that with the way that I read, 60 is plenty, even 50. I know one year I didn't even hit 50, and I just set that as a standard goal because I like to read, and I know if I surpass it, that's great. If I don't, that's fine too. It really depends on the slump and if it's there or not. But I've been going on a good streak, and I'm doing my best to kind of line up some of my audiobooks and borrow some from the library too that I also have physically because I don't read. I've been reading the last little bit. I've been reading a few physical at the same time, and that's usually not how I roll. But it actually hasn't been too bad, but I did feel a little slow doing it that way, but it did work for me still, so that's something that's new. I've never read like 4 books at once before, or even 3. So I usually have only 2, 1 audio, 1 physical. This year was a lot of firsts, and I actually didn't mind that. I had a little something for whatever I was feeling right then, and I was feeling like all of them. I wanted to read all of them, and so it was actually kind of interesting keeping the things separate. And it did help that a few of them were rereads, so I didn't really need to focus too much on those. I'll get into some of my 5 stars and my lower stars, and I will wrap up these last 2 months for you. I figured maybe it might be a good idea to do reading updates every couple months because sometimes the wrap-ups, sometimes I do them and sometimes I don't, so I figured maybe every couple months I'll do a reading update and have a chat about the books that you've been reading and that I've been reading and kind of see where it goes from there. I'm going to start with the 2 that I've already talked about because I don't really need to talk too much about them other than what they are. So for May, I read Overgrowth by Mira Grant. This was I read this. If you didn't watch my review video, I got this as an ARC on audio, and I finished it just as it was coming out. I gave this one a 3.5, and I did round up to 4. The characters were great. Graham Graham was my favorite, and I did like Stacia, and a few of the points that were in here were very, very on point for right now and the things that are going on in the political climate. So if you do pick this one up, just be aware of that. It felt very different from anything I've read, and I quite like it. So I liked the end, and I did, like I said, I loved Graham's character. There were also some characters that I really didn't like. I like Mira Grant's writing, because I did like also as well, I liked Into the Drowning Deep. That one so far is my favorite, and I have to check out the other books by this author. The other one that I read was in ER, and I got approved from NetGalley for that as well, and that was The Jasad Crown. I adored that book with my whole heart. That was one of my 5-star reads. Just getting to the end of that duology and reading those last chapters just through tears. It happened a few times this year, I'm not gonna lie. And I will bring those other ones up because, oh my goodness. But just finishing up that duology, I can't believe it made me cry. And I read it in some fits and starts. Like, I was taking my time a little bit, kind of savoring it. The book still is not out yet. So I would say if you're the type that likes to read them right in a row, you can probably start the Jasad Heir right now and read the Jasad Crown. I have my copy on pre-order, and I cannot wait to reread the whole duology and annotate it. I'm just so excited about it. And I also ordered the very pretty copy from Illumicrate. I was planning to initially read the Jasad Heir before going into the Jasad Crown, but that didn't happen that way, because when I got approved for the ARC, I was like, okay, well, I only have like so long to read this. So Sylvia and Aaron's story is amazing, but all of the side characters have heart as well, and it's a very built up. The world building was great. My only gripe was I wish there was more, and that's just on me. But Sarah Hashem did a wonderful job with this duology, so I think you would really love that if you like the thought of an Egyptian inspired fantasy. I really liked also the magic and the way that things worked was very critical to this story. So buckle in, because these books have they don't feel like they have filler at all. Everything feels like it happened for a reason, and I would almost even wish that there was filler, just so that I could be like, I want these books to be longer, and they are already kind of chunky, but I love them with my whole heart. So if you haven't read the Jasad Heir and you want to, I would say now is the time, because if you would like to read the Jasad Crown, with that being fresh off the Jasad Heir, that would be a good idea, forgetting no details. So my next May book is going to be Song of the Six Realms. I enjoyed this one. So I didn't love this one as much as I loved the Book of Tea duology, but this one was still great. It's set kind of in that same world. So I wasn't even sure whether to include this when I was doing my series video, because I wasn't sure if this also kind of went in with that, if it was like a 0.5 or was included in that. This book was really good. I did really enjoy it. I listened to it on audio because I had a lot going on with some of the physical reads. The audio was great. The narrator did a wonderful job. Once again, I love the magic in these books. Judy Lynn just paints wonderful pictures with words. I love the worlds. I love the places. They all kind of have that wonderful, like, feeling. Like, you know, I don't see these talked about as much, but I definitely enjoy them. And I think that if you like that kind of, I don't know, if you like that kind of whimsical kind of magic, like the other magic in the Book of Tea was all tied with tea, hence the name, but the magic was woven like through tea and everything. It was really cool how that was described. This is a bit different. This is more, so as you can kind of tell through the title, the Song of the Six Realms, the magic in this one is based more with music, and the other ones were based more with tea. But I just absolutely love her world. I gave this one 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to read it kind of physically also, so I will be probably going back to this. These are kind of great, like, comfort reads. Like, I really like the world and just how beautiful it is, and I think that this was one that I could definitely go back to because it was just a wonderful read. So my next May read, I also did on audio. I borrowed it from the library. I did This Woven Kingdom. I did enjoy it. There were parts that I didn't particularly like. I think it had to do with certain aspects of the characters' relationship. I did like the magic. I might continue on and read the next book because the ending was very interesting. I did give it 3.5 stars. I did think it was very interesting, though, how it was done, and I really liked the setting. And I did really like some of the characters, but I didn't feel, I don't know, it just kind of felt a little bit disjointed for me. 3.5. I may continue with it to see how the next book turns out, because like I said, that ending, I'm kind of wondering where it's going to go from there, and I want to know. So next up on my May reads is the last one, and that one is Carl's Doomsday Scenario. So I was continuing with the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I am proud of myself. I just want to get that out there. Proud of myself. I'm making progress on my series. Making progress. I'm getting there. That's book 2 of Dungeon Crawler Carl. I've been doing all of these on audio so far. I do want to get the books. I love how the audiobooks are. I love that narrator. Jeff Hayes did a wonderful job, and Matt Dinniman created a kind of really cool, unique kind of world. Like, I just really like it. And if you, they're called Lit RPG, pretty sure, Lit RPG. But if you like games, I think you'll really like this. And for me, like, everything was geeking out. Like, the first book, I absolutely loved it. I listened to it, like, a lot, like, as much as I could. This one felt a little shorter. I didn't love it as much, but I still gave it 4 stars. I kind of want everybody to read this series because this is a lot of fun. I love Carl Donut. I just think that I've never read anything like it, and maybe I should find more kind of in that vein. So if you have any suggestions for me on Lit RPG, I'd really like to know. Or anything like video game based, because that's actually pretty neat. Or actually anything like game based like this. It's so cool. Like, I don't know. I think it's really interesting. And I'm definitely going to continue with Dungeon Crawler Carl. Actually, I already have. So, moving on into June. I might as well just start out with saying I listened to the 3rd book of Dungeon Crawler Carl as well. That is the Dungeon Anarchists Cookbook. I gave this one 5 stars. And I think that, I don't know what it was about book 2 that I didn't love as much. Maybe the mission that was happening or some of the things that were happening just didn't feel quite like the 1st and 3rd for me personally. So I think, while slightly confusing, I had to re-listen a couple of times to some of the things, and I don't know if I caught everything for it, but I really enjoyed it in the way that it was structured. I definitely enjoyed the 3rd book more than the 2nd. This one was a bit longer than Carl's Doomsday Scenario, so I have written down the hours as well. So book 2 was 11 hours and 28 minutes, and book 3 was 16 hours and 54 minutes. For me, the second book was shorter, but I don't think I finished it as quick. Let's just put it that way, you know what I mean? So I definitely do recommend the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. So moving on, another book that I already did talk about, and I will be doing another video about, so keep your eyes open for that one if you're interested. But I recently uploaded my revisited vlog where I read Dragonflight and Dragon's Dawn, and Dragon's Dawn I finished reading this month. I gave this one 3.75 stars. For, like, I liked this one better, way better than Dragonflight, just so you know. If you don't intend to watch that revisited episode, you don't have to. I gave this one 3.75. I gave Dragonflight 3. I am going to have a spoiler vlog out very shortly. I'm planning to record it, like, really shortly. I may unhaul that box set. It's just so hard because it was my dad's, and I don't know. Part of me wants to keep it anyway. I'll figure it out from there. But I definitely enjoyed Dragon's Dawn. This was a prequel more to all of the books for Pern, because this is when they actually get to Pern. And I enjoyed the aspect of the dragonettes, or the fire lizards. So you have the little dragonettes. Part of me just really loves, like, this part of Pern, and I think the writing was better this time. It didn't quite take me out as much as the other one. So 3.75. I'm going to have a spoiler vlog up. So if you really don't care or don't intend to read it and want to see me rant about things, I will have that up soon, maybe next week. So keep an eye out for that one. So my next one for June is Staircase in the Woods. I listened to the audio of this. There were a couple narrators, and they all did a great job. If you haven't watched some of my other videos, I adore Chuck Wendig. Follow him on Instagram. He's the best. I got to meet him once. And twice, actually. I got to meet him a couple times. It was nice. He does the best videos with apple snacks. Black River Orchard, I got to geek out because I live in PA, and a lot of that was in PA Central. So, like, this, I can't remember if this is also PA. PA is mentioned in a lot of his books. So whenever it is, I get to geek out a little bit because I get to see what area they're based off of. It's kind of fun. But Staircase in the Woods it's a bit difficult to describe. The characters were all very different. I loved and hated some of them. Like, there were a couple of them I'm like, but I liked the way that this was structured, and I really loved some of the things that happened in here. But he always does a very good job with his character work, and parts of this just resonated, you know? So I think that if it sounds interesting to you, definitely pick it up. His horror, I love his horror books, but I also loved his sci-fi kind of dystopian, Wanderers and Wayward. Those are still my favorites. This one I ended up giving 4.2 stars, which I think is the lowest rating I've given to his books. I do adore his writing, and I did enjoy this book a lot. So you can have your pick. Wanderers and Wayward are very thick books, but they don't feel that long, you know? And Black River Orchard was really good. That was the last book that he came out with before this one. And the Book of Accidents was just before that one. So those two are kind of standalone. And so is this one. I still have to work on the backlog of some of his other books, but he's an auto-buy author for me and will continue to be so. I really enjoyed this. 4.25 stars. Go pick up a Chuck Wendig if you like horror. It's very interesting and kind of crazy. So the next book I was recommended, and I had seen a little bit about it on Instagram, and I had wanted to pick it up, but I had a credit on Libro.fm, and I threw it out there that I wanted to read something, wasn't sure what to use it on, and I had a recommendation from Rachel to read The Lost Story, and I did. So this one was about 10 hours long, 10 hours and 21 minutes, about 10 and a half hours, and it was whimsical, it was beautiful, it kind of made me cry in some parts a little bit, made me tear up just a small bit. My heart hurt for some of these characters and some of the things that they went through. It was kind of really beautiful. I did give it 4.25 stars. Some of the fantastical stuff, some of it didn't like particularly jive with me, but I really did love the way it was structured. I loved the magic. I just loved how it felt. And it didn't really start out very slow at all. It kind of started out kind of right in. I just think it's a lovely story. And if you were looking kind of for that whimsy, I think that you'd probably enjoy it too. The characters were amazing, and Rafe has my whole heart. I loved Rafe so much. Jeremy was great. Emily and the search for her sister that she didn't know she had. And Jeremy, coming to find Jeremy because he's the best at finding these lost girls. They had that element of found family, and it just was amazing. The fact that they went through some of the things that they went through were just heartbreaking and just upsetting. This was such a sweet story, and if you like that whimsy, if you like a whole lot of whimsy, I think that you would definitely enjoy this, especially if you love found family, because this really had that element a lot. It was such a sweet story though. And I gave it 4.25. And next up, one of my Libby holds came in, and that was for James. I never read Huck Finn before, but I don't think you need to. All the elements kind of are there, and I kind of knew a little bit about it, but not a whole lot. So I figured diving into James, since I heard so much about it and everybody was saying how good it was, I wanted to read it, and I did enjoy it. Some of the elements, it did feel a little bit long in certain parts. A little bit of the story kind of felt a small bit repetitive, but that's just because that was how the story kind of had to go. This had like everything. I liked the end quite a bit, and I liked the character work in James. It was just so sad listening to this book, and just, oh, I can't. Definitely check James out by Percival Everett. I think it was a wonderfully well done story. A bit long and a small bit repetitive. 4 stars is what I gave it. I think that it was a wonderful retelling of Huck Finn, and you get to know more about James. I don't know how close or how true it was to any parts of Huck Finn, because I've never read it and I don't think I ever will, but I'm glad I at least got the story from James and his perspective, his fight to get back to his family, to try to free them. Like, the whole thing was heartbreaking and sad. So if you were on the fence with James, I would say definitely give it a try. The audiobook was great. The narrator did a wonderful job. So I have 2 books left for June, and they were both 5 stars from me. So as I said, I'm very proud in the progress with some of my series, especially adding Dungeon Crawler Carl, but at least already 3 books. I've read 3 books in there, and I am excited that I'm making progress there. The next book, I was concerned and worried. I had every right to be because it did things like all the other books did, and I had to finish it through my tears. This one I actually kind of like, no lie, ugly cried. I was weeping at the kitchen table when I was reading a part of this. And good luck, everyone, if you decide to read this series. But I highly recommend it because it is really good, really, really good. And you gotta think, when you get to that last book in a series and you've been with these characters for so long, they do leave a mark on you. Finally getting to the end of their stories is sad on its own, but you know that things are going to happen that aren't always good, and it pains me to have finished it, but I'm so glad I did because it was such a wonderful payoff. Though I think that John Gwynne is definitely one of my favorite fantasy authors. I'm adding him right into some of my favorites. The Bloodsworn Saga was incredible, and it was the same thing. One of my favorite female characters came out of Bloodsworn. I always have that. Orca is amazing. So go read Bloodsworn if you haven't. But also read The Faithful and the Fallen, because I don't know. I gave all of these books 5 stars, and I know not everyone had them hit that way. But for me, I I don't know, everything about them is what I love in my fantasy book. Honestly, getting to the end of this journey that they've all been on, my heart. I can't say too much about Wrath because it is the fourth and last book in The Faithful and the Fallen, but I say if you love fantasy, you should read John Gwynne. If you wanted to start with The Bloodsworn, that was his most recent trilogy. By all means, go ahead. I think that these were also beautiful books. Every book so far, though, is massive. So he really, they don't feel this way, to be honest. They don't feel this long. While it might take a bit for you to get through it, none of them felt sloggy for me. Getting through the end of Ruin and into finally starting Wrath, this was the most that I kind of feared the end a little bit. I think that the end of Ruin kind of like did some slight damage, and then this one kind of just all out hurt. I definitely recommend this series though. Go check it out. I don't know how the audiobooks are, but I actually just loved reading through it. And the different perspectives and characters, I still really do enjoy that, especially with his characters, because you not only get protagonist point of views, you get antagonist point of views, and there's nothing quite like hating a character as there is hating a character. Some of the POVs I disliked mostly because I hated that character so much, but the thing that John Gwynne does is he still makes them, you have to read them, and you have to know. They're just twisted and despicable in the most weird ways, but all of them are different. They're not just all the same either. Like, every perspective is completely different, and you learn to love these characters and hate them in different ways. So, like I said, 5 out of 5 stars, all the stars for this series. I just can't even. I just can't even with these books. Thanks to Rachel and the book club. But these 3 were completed this year. And I actually cannot wait for the next trilogy. I think they're doing some cover redesigns to actually match these, because I think that the new series, or not the new series, but I think that the other series, A Time of Dread, those books, I believe they're coming out with covers to match these a little bit more than the ones that are currently out. I think they're gonna be different. I actually haven't really seen some of them in stores, so I haven't been able to pick that series up, so I figured I might wait kind of and see how well they match, and I'll grab them then. I definitely intend to read through those, and I'm excited to, even if I'm scared. I think it takes place like way after these. As always, like I said, thank you, Rachel, for helping me get through these. Thank you to the book club for reading them and talking about it. It was so nice talking about some of these parts with others, and to know that everybody else is reading the same books as you and talking about them, and seeing the different opinions on who is whose favorite character. Really enjoyable. My heart hurts still. I'm not fully recovered yet, so it will be a while before I read the next ones, I think. And my last book of June was one of my most anticipated books of the year, other than the Jasad Crown, and that's The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I adored the Shepherd King duology. Fantastic writing. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the characters. I was kind of upset at a few parts because, oh my god, Sybil is an amazing character, and getting to know her and Rory the gargoyle. I need more gargoyle in my life. But this edition is beautiful, but holy moly is it heavy. I just gotta say that. This one was hard to hold up if you're a reader in bed like I am. I actually, sometimes when I was reading, I had to like prop it because it's hefty. I don't know if it's the pages. The pages felt a little heavier than normal. This book is beautiful on the outside as well as on the inside, and I can't believe now we have to wait for the second book. but that's okay. I've got plenty to read in the meantime, and I'll look forward to rereading this before the next one comes out, because I want to make sure I have everything remembered. So I fully intend to do that when the next book is going to be coming out. That said, I loved the atmosphere of this. I really did like the divining aspect. You follow Sybil, or Six, as she is known by her fellow diviners. There are 6 of them in Eiling. The magic is very interesting here, just as it was in Shepherd King Duology. Whereas those were tarot cards, this is something else entirely, and I love the magic. I loved the way that it worked in here. So you, like I said, you follow Six, or Sybil. In the beginning, you find out how it works to be a diviner, what they do to make these divinations for everybody from the omens. It's quite incredible. I don't think I've ever read anything like that. Things start to really happen when these knights and the new king get there, and she meets Rory and the new king Benji, and they are asked to divine for this new king. Everything starts to go quickly after that. The diviners start disappearing, and Sybil, or Six, really wants to know what is going on, where they are, and what happened to them. And I think that this story is so interesting. And I read this in a lot of fits and starts, because at the same time I was reading this, I was finishing up Wrath. I read them in chunks because it's really hard not to just keep going when reading Rachel Gillig's writing. I really love how atmospheric her books are, and I really love the characters. Just absolutely amazing. I highly recommend Rachel Gillig. Definitely an auto-buy author from me, so 100% pick this one up. So that does it for June. So July, like I said, I've read 1 book, and that was The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman. This was one of the holds that came in. Everything came in all at once. I had like 4 or 5 of them come in. I delayed one, and then I have a few more that I have ready. Some of them are short, like only 8 hours, so they won't take me too long. This one I picked up from one of the bookstores that I did a video on. I don't remember which one, but it was on clearance, I think, and it was a signed copy, so I picked it up. I do like Arthurian tales. My Merlin books by T.A. Barron are some of the biggest nostalgia reads that I have. Can't wait to do those for Revisited. I need to finish getting them. But this one was an interesting take on it. Colum was a very interesting character, and it was very interesting going in at this time of the story. This one is quite long. That's where it lost a little bit. It did feel its length, and it did slog through some parts, and then others were very quick. I think that some of the characters were very different than what I thought they would be, but that is very interesting, and I kind of love it a lot. So I would say if you're interested, definitely check it out. It was very interesting going in this way, and you get to know some of the other knights, and it goes back through some of their stories. I thought those were really interesting. Overall, I gave this one a 3.5 stars. Like I said, it felt its length, and I think some of this could have been cut out a little bit, and some parts just did feel very long. The ending was pretty good, though. I did enjoy the story, and I did enjoy a lot of the characters. So 3.5 stars. I thought it was good. That'll do it for all of the finished reads. I'm currently reading A Forgery of Fate, and I am almost done. I will probably finish this very soon. I only have this much left to go. I am enjoying this one a lot. Elizabeth Lim, I can't say enough about her books. I adore all of them, and this one is no exception. I just started this the other day, and I am already almost done. I think I flew through most of it these last few days. I couldn't stop reading. I love Elizabeth Lim's writing so much. So that is everything as far as like the reading update that I have for you. It is very hard to pick a favorite, so I won't, because I read 3 of John Gwynn's were alone were 5 stars, and then I had the Jasad Crown, and I had The Night and the Moth. Personally, it's very hard. I did love the Jasad Crown a lot. I just can't pick. I can't choose. My heart hurts. I did have some that I didn't love, though. So reading with my mood this year has really taken it up a notch. I think I've given so many 4s and actually quite a few 5s this year. A lot of them have been highly anticipated from me and ones that I kind of knew I would really like. The only outlier was I wanted to try another Riley Sager, and I believe I talked about this in a previous video. I gave Middle of the Night 2 stars, and I didn't like it. And Dragonflight 3 stars, and I definitely didn't love it. So that's kind of how it's been. So very shortly I'll have read 35 because I will be finishing Forgery of Fate. If not today, probably tomorrow, because there's really not much left there. I'm not sure what I'll go to next. I do know that the next book club pick is one that I've also anticipated, and I have it on audio, so I'm going to have a lot of time to sit with that one. But that is Sword of Kaigen, and I am very interested in that. I can't wait. I still have Blood Over Bright Haven to read. I definitely wanted to read one of Emma Wang's books because I've heard so many good things about them, and I'm really excited to finally read that. I will link Rachel's channel, and I'm excited. We'll also be starting Assassin's Apprentice soon. We'll be starting some Robin Hobb very soon, so that's another one. I'm glad to be going through that with the book club because I was a little intimidated by Robin Hobb, not gonna lie. Hey, hi, hello, my fellow mood readers. I am giving you an update. While editing this video, I did actually kind of procrastinate a little bit. That's why it's not out like last week, but I did finish 3 books in the time it took me to edit this. Apologies. However, I was almost done with this one, so I give myself a little grace there. It was as anticipated and expected. It was 5 stars. I really enjoy Elizabeth Lim's writing. I will definitely keep reading these. I absolutely love her world. I love her characters. They're all just so magical and like colorful, if you will. I really enjoyed this one. The magic was amazing as usual. I love some of that, like a different kind of magic. So True and Elaine were amazing characters. I just can't say enough about Elizabeth Lim's writing. So I did give this one 5 stars, and this was book number 35. So I'm not going to keep you too long with these updates either. I finished 2 audiobooks. They were both kind of short. They weren't like over 20 hours or anything. The first one was These Silent Woods. I've been looking at that one for a little while, and I thought it sounded really interesting, and it was. I was pleasantly surprised. I liked it. It didn't really drag. The setup was good. I liked trying to figure some of the things out. The end was a little bit more unexpected than I thought, and I liked it. So I ended up giving that one 4 stars. Like I said, 8 hours, so it took me very little time to get through. And then another one I listened to on audio was 5 Broken Blades, which I do have the physical book, but I did get the audio off the library. This one I was a slight bit concerned with. I'm not 100% sure about continuing on, actually. I actually have 2 versions of this. One was gifted. I love the blue colorway. It's beautiful, and they're both actually pretty different. This one was from Goldsboro Books, and this one was what the standard first edition hardcover looked like. All of them have actually been quite pretty, but I resisted picking up book 2 and 3 just because I wanted to read this one first because I was a little bit unsure. And I did end up giving this 3 stars. I thought it was okay. I didn't love how quickly some of the things progressed. The characters, some of them felt a little bit too attached too quickly for my liking, and in situations that otherwise should have like taken more time, and that happened in a couple of instances in here. But other than that, the end was interesting. I may try the second book on audio. To maybe the library will have that one too, just to see. I think was it Four Ruined Realms or something like that. I can't remember the title, but I think the third book's actually out. Part of me is unsure if I want to, but I may, if it's available in the library, I might give it a try and see how the second book is. Let me know what your thoughts on this, if you think that I should continue, or if you think that the second book is either more of this or more or not quite as good. I'd like to know your thoughts on it, if you've got any, if you've read this. So that was book number 37. So I finished 37 books so far at the time this video is coming out, and pretty good overall. And I'm hopeful that my next one will be very high 4 or 5 stars, and that's going to be A Drop of Corruption. I've already started it, and I will have plenty of time to read, because by the time this video comes out, I'm going to be visiting my friend, my buddy reading bestie, and we're going to be going to bookstores, we're going to be out and about, we're going to hang out in cafes and try some good food, so kind of keep an eye out. I will probably do a vlog when I'm back of some of the things that we did and where we were reading and what we were up to, so kind of keep an eye out for that. It'll probably mostly be B-roll. I don't know how things are going to go, but I want it to be a really nice visit, and I'm super excited to see her. I miss her so much. So that's been my update. Back to the original ending here. Thank you for your patience. So thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for joining me on this reading update. I will try to be a little bit better with my uploads. I know I kind of skipped around a little bit lately, but that's a me problem. So please drop down below what some of your favorite or least favorite reads were this year. I'm really interested. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you think of them. I'm happy to be making progress with the series and checking some of those off. I think my next read is going to be also a part of the series, a part of a series I'm currently in the middle of as well. So like I said, thank you so much for watching. Drop a stack of books down in the comments for me if you made it this far, and I'll see you guys in the next one.